Hey guys, Josh Lloyd here for your NBA DraftKings first look for Monday across the league. We've got 8 games on. Let's talk about those games right now. First one of those is the Sacramento Kings, and they are taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Kings are 4-point favorites. Of course, they'll have no Marvin Bagley, and the total is 225. I really doubt that Kevin Love is going to play in this game. This is a back-to-back for the Cavs. Of course, Love did not play on Sunday. Colin Sexton's at 7,100. I think that's a really good price for Colin Sexton. It is a back-to-back, but the Kings are not the greatest defensive squad, and Sexton can really beat that number. Tyrese Halliburton's been struggling. 5,500 though, I think is a good price. Now, we know that he can put up good games. Like he's had a 25 and a 26 there, even when struggling. But yeah, 36, 52, 48. They're what he was doing before his injury. So I do like him in a matchup against a Cavs team that could be tired on a back-to-back, and it's not all that great defensively. That looks pretty good to me. While Darius Garland at 66, been playing at a pretty high level. I'd be more cautious with using him just because he can be inconsistent, and the back-to-back is somewhat of a risk. 9,100 for De'Aaron Fox. I like it because the matchup is good, and 7,200 for Richaun Holmes. I do expect a bounce back from Holmes, who only scored 17 points last game. Larry Nance at 6,100, again, with the expectation that Kevin Love is out. That does work, but if Love does play, however it's 10 minutes or 8 minutes or whatever he goes out there to do, that will have an impact on Larry. But I do like that spot for him under the assumption that Kevin is sidelined. Next game, we take a look at the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Thunder played on Sunday with a big win over the Houston Rockets without Al Horford and without Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They are going to be without Darius Bazley, who remains out with that shoulder problem. So the rotation's going to be interesting to see what happens when Horford's back, if Shai returns as well. Where does Roby fit? Where does Moses Brown fit? Where does Pokusevski fit? I imagine Poku gets another start. The Wolves changed their lineup across the weekend with Jaden McDaniels replacing Jared Vanderbilt. There's still no Malik Beasley or D'Angelo Russell for them, and still no Jordan McLaughlin as well. Anthony Edwards is at 7,200. You really have to like what he's been doing. All the opportunities are going to be there for him, and Karl Anthony Towns similarly. They're going to just get pretty much every shot in the world. And therefore, value for those guys, I think, is there. Rubio's at 6,200, and I don't mind that. With both McLaughlin and Russell out, he is going to get the bulk of those point guard minutes. I think that works in his favor. Moses Brown's a tough one. Look, he is averaging 33 over the last 3. But when Horford plays, a little bit tougher to utilize him. If I'm going to take a flyer on a Thunder guy, it's probably Pokusevski at 4,900 or even Roby. But Roby's up at 5,600, which takes away somewhat a big chunk of that value, to be honest. 8,300 for Gilgeous-Alexander under the assumption that he plays. The matchup, I think, works pretty well. And then you can also take a flyer on their new starting power forward, Jaden McDaniels for the Timberwolves. Hasn't been producing big numbers, but he can go out there, hit some threes, block some shots. At 4,000, yeah, can he? Look, there's a 39-pointer there. Like, that's the sort of upside we're talking about. Everything else is trash, but he can go out there and put up some decent numbers, and the opportunity has been afforded to him. So that's one of the major things that we're looking at here. Let's go on to the next game, and of course, just as I'm recording this, we do have some bad news in terms of the NBA's watchability, with LaMelo Ball suffering a fractured wrist, and Woj is reporting that he is going to be out for the rest of the season. That is not great, so obviously, he is not playing here. Devontae Graham, he steps up, and that opens up a ton of value for Devontae, and it opens up a ton of value for Malik Monk. Graham's at 4,800. I love it. Malik Monk is at... what's he at? For 4,000? Yeah, great value on both of those blokes. Cody Zeller is also out, so Bismack Biyombo at 3,400. He's definitely not sexy, but Biyombo at 3,400. What did he have? Like 15 points last game? Look, that's not bad. I wouldn't be super excited about using him, but I am marginally interested. Rozier, I think, also gets a bump without LaMelo. He's at 6,600. There is some value there. He is listed probable. DeJounte Murray and Patty Mills rested last game for the Spurs, so they are going to return. 7,400 for Murray. I don't mind it. I don't think it's the greatest, but I don't mind that. Well, Derek Wright at 58 is only a GPP guy at this point with his horrible shooting cold streak. And DeRozan's at 8,500, and I love that. There is really good floor value in DeRozan. He's just giving us that 42, 43 on most nights. I think we could get a situation where Gordon Hayward gets a big usage bump with the absence of Ball, so there is a real ton of value opening up in this matchup because, in large part due to that LaMelo Ball injury news that just broke. Let's go to the next one. It is the Toronto Raptors and the Houston Rockets. Back-to-back for both of these teams. The Rockets will likely be without will likely be without Victor Oladipo. They may be without John Wall on that back-to-back. We don't know. Of course, Kevin Porter is averaging pretty poor numbers. Just 19 points over his last 3 games. One of those was an injury game. With Oladipo out, that does boost his chances, and if Wall is out, he will smash that number. But keep an eye on the injury status of those guys. While Christian Wood at 8,000, love that. Minutes look fine to me. He did play, it is a back-to-back, so maybe there's a little bit of a worry there, but big minutes for him on Sunday, and that's encouraging. He's going to be a 40-point guy if he gets 30-plus minutes. Johnny Wall, we've got him sitting at 7,100. Look, if he plays with no Oladipo, despite some of his inefficiency problems, I do think there is pretty good value in John Wall at 7,100, while Siakam at 75. The only reason I'd be a bit cautious there is because of the back-to-back, but I still think there is good value in him. I don't know whether Porter will start in place of Oladipo. They could put Sterling Brown in there, so that's something to watch. Well, Daniel House, 4,600 for House. He put up a really big game against the Thunder. Now, going against the Thunder versus going against the Raptors is a little bit different in terms of defensive ability, but House can be an option and might see a few more shots go his way. Norm Powell at 71. I'm not really into that, nor with Kenyon Martin or Jay Sean Tate. The next game, another game where some value has really opened up. We are talking about the Indiana Pacers taking on the Milwaukee Bucks. And the reason there's value opening up there is because Giannis Antetokounmpo has been listed as doubtful with a knee sprain. So who do they start at power forward? Will it be PJ Tucker in his second game? Or will it be Punch Bob? Bobby Portis at 4,100. I'm interested a lot here in Portis at that salary. Tucker, if he gets the start, he doesn't do anything in his minutes. So I'm not super interested, but I am interested in Portis. I'm interested quite a bit in Chris Middleton at 7,600. And I think Drew Holiday at 6,800 without Antetokounmpo there gets a bit of a boost. Brook Lopez is also another guy who could be in line for a boost in production with Yanni not there. Just some more minutes, more rebounds, more block shot opportunities without Antetokounmpo coming across and swatting everything. For the Pacers, Karis LeVert's been a little bit disappointing, especially with his shooting. I'm not ready to invest there. While Malcolm Brogdon at 72, that looks good against his former team. And then Domantas Sabonis at 9,000. I like that Sabonis has come down. He was at 10,000 for a stretch, which was too high. 9,000 looks pretty good to me. McConnell putting up unbelievably good numbers still. I don't trust it, and I don't want to use it here. Next up, we've got the Utah Jazz and the Chicago Bulls. And of course, another injury that we've got to talk about, or a potential injury. Rudy Gobert is listed as questionable with a hip issue. Of course, if he is out, then that opens up a ton for Derek Favors to step in to become that option. The Jazz are 9.5-point favorites here, and the total is 231. The Bulls on a back-to-back. Satoransky's at 4,400. I don't mind it. I'm not sure that there's gigantic upside for Thomas, but I do think there is good floor value. I like Lauri Markkanen at 55, even though he hasn't been playing at his best. Well, 6,500 for Thad Young. It always just feels too high. I'm not saying that it is too high, but it just feels too high. And I know that's completely unanalytical. But, you know, he's been producing those numbers. It just always feels weird spending that much on him. Mike Conley's at 6,400. I think that's marginally too high, while the skater boy Zach LaVine's at 8,400. That looks good to me, despite the defensive matchup. And then Donovan Mitchell, there's no defensive matchup going up against the Bulls, so he should be a 45-ish sort of a guy. Maybe Gobert's absence does negatively impact Mitchell, though. That's a possibility. Favors, again, at 3,500 would be someone that we'd look at in the situation where Gobert does not play. Next game, it is Boston, and it is the Memphis Grizzlies. Back-to-back for the Celtics after taking on the Magic on Sunday. So we have to assume that Kemba Walker will not play. Now, will Marcus Smart start at point guard? Is Tristan Thompson back from his health and safety protocols? Will they go with the two-center lineup? Will Shemi Ojeleye start? Will Jeff Teague mistakenly start? Probably not. It'll be Marcus Smart most likely there. Jason Tatum's at 8,600. No Kemba. That boosts the usage for Tatum, so that looks really good to me. Well, Ja Morant has been disappointing, but he's still putting up some okay DFS value. At 7,300, there is really good upside there, and I think 7,900 for Jaylen Brown also looks impressive to me. Love what he's been doing. Again, no Kemba helps. And Marcus Smart with no Kemba at 56 is one of the best plays, I think, on the board. Valanciunas at 7,700, it feels just a little bit too high, and I wouldn't want to mess with Melton or Clark or Anderson or Brooks or Allen or any of those guys that are just subject to the whims of 22 minutes apiece under Taylor Jenkins. Really tough to get too excited there. While the Rock DJ Robbie Williams is all the way up to 6,000, that is too high for a bloke that played 14 minutes on Sunday and is subject again to the whims of the rotations of Brad Stevens, unfortunately. The last game of the night, we're looking at the Clippers. They are taking on the Atlanta Hawks. The Clippers are 6.5-point favorites here in this one. The injury news, Pat Beverly and Serge Ibaka are both out for the Clippers, while DeAndre Hunter could be returning for the Hawks. Zubats is at 5,100, which I do like quite a bit with no Ibaka. That looks pretty strong. Paul George at 82 is excellent. And Kawhi Leonard at 88 also, I like that. Sorry, at 89 also pretty good. And Trae Young at 88. I think there's good value on all of those high-end guys. Trae Young is listed as probable, but that doesn't really bother me. Johnny Collins is coming in at 7,400. Now, he is dropping some absolute monsters on us at the moment. 41 points over the last 5. They have bumped the salary, which makes me a little bit worried, but I'm not completely going away from that. While Capella at 73. The minutes are down for Clint, so I'm not ready to fully invest in that one. Lou Williams, Bogdanovic, Batum, Herter, Hunter, Gallinari maybe, but I think their salaries probably limit their overall upside in this one. Now, if we have a look at value right across the slate, I'm looking at Portis, Monk, and Graham, 3 guys who really benefited from late injury news. Kevin Porter, under the assumption that Oladipo is out. Chris Middleton, Paddy Connaughton even at 4,200 with no Yanni. Anunoby, Drew Holiday, Anthony Edwards, Satoransky, Towns, Wood, Sexton, Zubats, Rubio, and maybe John Wall, if he happens to play. Could be an option there for us, guys. That'll do it for me. Don't forget to check out my channel in the title, in the description, Josh Lloyd Fantasy Basketball, and subscribe to this one as well. Give it a thumbs up, hit the notification bell, ring my ding-a-ling, drop a comment down below, guys. We are done here. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. See ya.